In this video, I'm going to cover how we would make this facade detail and this these objects on the side. Okay, so the first place I would start with this is try and, I'll save this for a second, but I'm going to make this first. So if I go back to my drawing, well, I go to south elevation, for example, I bring VG and I bring back on my AutoCAD file, you'll see that I've got some detail to work with here. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to make this detail first, this piece over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C, copy this, and I'm going to put it on drafting view. Annotate, view, drafting view, plans, drafting view. Okay, 150, it's fine. Control V, doesn't matter. Put it anywhere. So I'm going to trace that detail. So here I'm just going to go to architecture, annotate, detail lines, and I'm just going to, as quick as I can, draft some of this detail. There's a fixing plate at the back. I don't want all the detail. There's a plate at the top, for example. I'm just getting as much of this information as I can. And what I'll do is I'm going to get each one of these because they'll give me the center of where the circles go and how they work. Okay, likewise, detail line. Pick this. That's good enough for now. I just want some detail for which I can work. Okay, so I think that's given me enough information to reproduce this as we speak. So I can switch this guy off, hide element. Okay, so trim this with that. Move this to there. This is enough information. This is the wall line. This is another bit of metal, basically. Okay, here I'll just assume it's a plate that does something like that. TM, that, trim, Control Z, TM, trim multiple. Okay. Alright, so here we've got that's a 15 mil, so I can create another circle here in the middle. Create similar. Snap center, 15. Okay, these are all 25 radius. That's great. So I'm going to grab a reference plane now and just start from the center of this to the center of that. I just want to get some information here. Just want to make sure that they've used good 25 degrees. Hopefully that's around 25 degrees. That looks good. Okay, I'm happy with this information now. This guy. Okay, so where these center lines are, I'm going to create. So I'm going to go detail line. I'm going to make another circle. I'm going to make it slightly. I'm going to make the radius slightly smaller. I just want to copy this snap center. So copy that. Make sure it's multiple. I'm going to slap and then slap. Make sure constraints is not off. I just want to make sure that this is exactly center to center. Okay, and I'm aware that this will be 25. I'll change them in a minute. Okay. Yeah, the spacing is good to me. I'm not going to mess around with this too much. What I might do is just make sure. So let's select all of these guys, and I'm going to switch on their centers, center line, because I want to make sure that these center lines are all exactly the same, which they are. That's fine. Okay, so I've got enough information here to produce this item. It's going to be a generic model, so I'm just going to say center line off. Okay, all right, so I've got some good information here. This one I might adjust, but I just want to make a family that I can start using. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to new family. I'm going to say generic. And this is going to be a work plane based family. So I'm just going to say generic model. So generic model. Okay. And then this model won't always be vertical. It'll be a work plane based. And we can say switch off always vertical. Okay. So in essence, because this is going to be a work plane base, it will try and always ask me for a plane to work with, which is what I want to make this accurate. Okay, so I'm going to copy this information. So let's go to right view. So let's go to left view, for example, left or right, doesn't matter. So I'm going to go back to my drafting view. I'm just going to copy the line work, check none. Control C. I'm going to go back to my left view. I'm going to paste, modify, paste. Okay, all right. If that doesn't work, I've had this issue in the past. So all you do, very straightforward. From here, you're going to go File, Save as, Export, Cad Dwg, and just some settings to be aware of. I just want to make sure that's off. I'm going to go next. I'm going to save this on my desktop because it's something that you're just going to use very quickly and you can discard that at desktop. I'm going to call this roof detail. Okay. Div temporary hiders, doesn't really matter. Okay. Now I'm going to go to view close hidden. Okay. So now I can close that family. Okay, so in this view, I'm going to go to my left view. I'm going to go and say insert. Okay, why doesn't want to cancel? Import CAD. Open. Oh, I'll put it over there. Strange reason. Anyway, I'm going to rotate this from there to there. Okay, move this down to the middle. Okay, I'm going to work. It doesn't really matter where I work, so I'm looking at left and front. So here I'm just going to start creating, because if I go to my reference plane, here's left and right, and here's my AutoCAD file. So in left, I'm going to move this. I'll put the bottom. Let me just see. I can kind of center this more or less. But this centering is not that critical, because this is a one-off piece and it's always going to be the same. So that's probably what I'll do in my left and right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I've got a center that I want to work around. That's very important. So all my extrusions and my modeling will work around that. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to go back to right. I'm going to say create extrusion. this will be a bit of metal around the center, so it'll be 5, and let's make this 5, and let's make it 10 minus 10. It's quite a thick piece of steel, and the great thing is, oh, it's a terrible color. I can't see. Let's undo. Let me just see. This guy. I'm gonna go to VG, import a category. I'm gonna just overwrite this object styles and change this to be red, dark red. Apply. Okay. So I'll create extrusion. 10 minus 10. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to create this guy. Okay, and these, I'm not going to create any more than this. That's what I want to do. I want to create these holes here because these are pins. So actually, yeah, let's just create this hole. I know one's an extrusion, so let's roll look at that now. Okay, this one is a hole. One of these is a hole. Okay, so let's just go. So let's go to 3D view. All right, now I've got that piece of steel. Okay, now we can decide if we want to offset this, but I want to try and keep this in the center. This object's in the center, this one's slightly off center. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to make a sweep. So let's go back here. We can play with where these start. For now, I just want to establish. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is create a sweep. So I'm going to go to create, sweep, and I'm going to pick the external, pick sketch, and I'm just going to pick this line over here. Okay, finish, and I'll go edit profile, 3D view, it's fine. Get that profile, and I'm going to make that radius 15. I'll see if that's correct in a minute. Yeah, I might leave a gap. So I might actually center this guy. I might say 20 plus 40 onto the one side. Yeah, that works. Okay, that's starting to work well. I'm going to use this pin as my center line. It doesn't really matter. There's different ways we can offset it from different directions. That doesn't really matter. But in essence, that's starting to work quite well. Okay, the only problem I have noticed is edit sweep. I'm just going to say this, I'm going to change to edit profile. I'm going to change this to 10, and I'm going to move this. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so that's going around center. This one I can move. I'm going to move this 15 and this 30. Yeah, okay. All right, then the next thing I'm going to do is going to create extrusion. I'm going to create 2 extrusions. I'll put these in the same plane. Okay, 3D view. Now that's good where it is. I'll just need to align the one side with this. Okay. All right, so the next thing I need to do is I need to make an angle. All right, so this will be an angle. So this extrusion will go from front to left, so that will go front to back. Okay, so that angle, I'll just create any, so extrusion. I'm just making a very quick angle here. I'm going to take a guess that this is 10 mil, 10 mil, this will be 10 mil. Okay, you need something to bolt onto. Yeah, that will work. To the center, this I can pull back to there. I want this all to work around the center. Okay, so where this will all happen in the center line here. So this bolting and that, I might make this extrusion a little, let's make this 50. Finish. Let's go to front view. Let's move that to there, that to there. Yeah, that works better. Okay, the last thing I need to create. Okay, this I'm going to say will be -5, 5. Actually, edit profile. What this will have another create extrusion. Cancel. Let's copy this guy. Copy that over here somewhere. Let's go to left. So this will move snap center. Switch constraint off. 3D view. I'll make this work that way so it looks like you can see from both sides a bolt that they've put in from both sides. Let's go a line. Stick out of it so it looks more convincing. Okay, the last thing I need to do is just give this a plate. So let's go to right or front or back, doesn't matter. So here Okay, so this one we can join that with that. Okay, can join that with that. Okay, there we've got our detail very quickly. We can get rid of that. Okay, here we can make some fine tuning adjustments, but I've got my holes for this to go around. That's all I'm looking for. I've got where these holes go, and I want to make sure that this goes on the surface. I'm not going to add any more detail than this. This is plenty of detail in here, so this we can join. But the only thing I am going to do is going to give this all a material. Steel. Default. I'm going to say duplicate. Steel. And that will be like a battleship gray. So here I'm just going to replace this asset with an appearance library. Great. Okay, there's the detail that I want to do. So I'm going to go File, Save As, Family. I usually save these things into my library. So generic models, wall detail. So what it's trying to do now is it's trying to give me a work plane to work on. So here, for example, I want to work on this work plane here. So I'll put one in the view and I'll just try and see how this fits. That is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I could not have done that better. Okay, so once this object's in play, we'll need to start looking at how these things work in the view. So there's 4 there. So here we just need to kind of use a bit of discretion. And how I would do this is I'll go to the 4th floor, I'll go to the roof plan. Okay, VG, I'll switch off. I'll go to wireframe mode. So this guy I'll move here and I'll copy. So here what I'll do now is I'll grab this object and I'm going to use it in an array. So I'm going to go array, okay, and I'll say last, and I'm just going to put this anywhere over here. Sorry, my mistake. So I'm going to say array. So from the center line, from there till there. Okay. I'm going to 3D view. Okay, that's exactly what I'm wanting to do. And we can align these up later. So initially you just want to kind of get this set up. But what's nice now is 4. Okay. So that's what's great about that. What I'll do now is I'll select this, select all instances in view, and select the text as well. You want to grab the text as well. Copy this from there to this side. So this I want to put over here. I want to align it to this face over here. And this last one I want to align. Okay, so those have lost their host. So that one I might have to do differently. So let's get rid of those. I don't need those. Okay, so that one cause havoc. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to find a standard dimension from the sides that I would like this to work. So here I want to say that must be 500. So let's move this 500 away. I might have to use a reference plane for this. So let's go reference plane, move 300. Likewise here, reference plane, move 300. Line. Line. Okay, I've noticed these come back quite a lot more, so I'll need to fix this side. But in essence, I'll do one and then the rest I'll just show you. I'll do that a bit later. I'll fine tune these things, but I just want to kind of get this pattern working, and I just want to see. So here I'll probably do the same. So this one, I'm going to create similar. On this face, I'll do the final alignments in a minute, and I think what I did here was I aligned it to the bottom, so that's great. So I can use align that to there, and likewise. Okay, so I've placed these around. I'm going to go and play the spacings a bit. So if I go to my second floor or my roof plan, so for example, I'll need to offset this from the side by. So what I can do is move this and go back, move by 300, and then I can say array. Remember last. There, and then I can go this guy and move this back 300. Okay, that will be 5, for example. This could also be 4. I don't quite know how they've. Okay, I'm just making sure that's all aligned to that feature there. So you want these to tie in with that, especially if you want to. Okay, all right. So go back to roof plan. I'm just doing this very quickly just to kind of get the ball rolling. So I'm going to array this on the center line to over there. So this one I'll move back. That one will also be about 3, maybe even less, because this might have to come back because of this other one, how this one returns. So that I'll have to play with. So this one I can move 300. Okay, this one is going to be tricky. So I'm going to move this one. These ones I'll fine tune once I've kind of got the rhythm in place. So these I'm just going to put them. For example, this I'll make 6 because we can on the fly change this. So here we can start playing with these centers once I put so that we can do quite easily. Move this, put this one over here somewhere. Undo. Move this here. Okay, then this I'm just gonna array. Okay, from the center right to the end here roughly. I know that this one will come back 300, so this one we can move back 300. Okay, great. All right, and then divide that by 6 maybe. Just want to get an idea of the pattern. You can soon gauge how this will work. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is I need to go to architecture, model in place, and this will be a generic model. Okay, I'll try and make a lot of these in the same model, so I'm going to call this feature rail. Okay, feature rail. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to say I want this to follow a sweep, and I'm going to pick lines. So this will work with this wall every single time. So I'm going to use this to do this, do that, do that. This is quite straightforward and easy. It's quite easy to model this kind of stuff. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to say yes, I'm happy, and I want to edit my profile. And what's great is I've got some holes to pick already. So I'm just going to say, okay, this might not be as easy, but let's just see, it might work. Because I've got a shape to drive it with, it should automatically produce my rails for me. So if I say finish, finish, there we go. So now I've got that rail detail. Okay, and I might just have to make it the same, but you'll see that this stuff will tie in perfectly. Okay, if it starts getting to different angles, because it's following this, it should work out 100%. Okay, so for my next step is I've kind of gone and created an in-place family that I've extruded around a couple times. Okay, so this I've just made an in-place extrusion. Okay, the next thing I'm going to build this feature on the front. So what I've done is I've started drawing some reference planes to work with, and I'm using round degrees because I don't like the fact that I can make this 93.5, for example. Let's just see what the 94 looks like. 94 is better. Actually, I'm going to stick with 94. 94 works a bit better for me. Okay, and I'm going to make it go to the front by 93 degrees because I think, actually, I'll make it go to the front by 94 degrees, 94 degrees. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, and I've got a center line to work around. Okay, great. So now that I've kind of got what I need, so let's see, that's 100. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create component model in place. I'm going to say generic model. I'm going to call this wall feature. Okay. All right. Now I've got these reference planes. I'm going to reproduce these reference planes to work with inside this. So it should pick this other reference plane. Why doesn't it want to pick this other reference plane? Should have. I'm going to use this reference plane over here. Okay, and I'm going to use another reference plane from the front. So I might have to switch to the front here. I might have to remove my section. But in essence, all I want to do now is create and I'm going to offset this by 50. Actually, I'm going to make this, so I'm going to make this a reference line. So I'm going to say, I'm going to pick a plane. I'm going to pick this facade for the time being. I'm going to go and say I want to create a reference line. And align it to that, and I'm going to offset it so where this starts. So this I might have to give it a 3D point as well. So here I might have to introduce some 3D points. So if I go to 3D view, so this point at the top I might be able to move. So I'm going to have to play around with this a bit. But in essence, that's what I want to do. So let's go to my front view, view, and I'm going to say that line must be offset 50. Okay, this one I'll get rid of. Okay. Let's offset again by 50. Let's say copy 50. Okay. And say, I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a sweep, and I'm going to tell it to pick this reference line, finish, profile, 3D view, and I'm going to make that a 50 finish. Okay, all right, that's all I wanted to do. So now all I want to is maybe play around with this point. So this point I might want to start moving in relation to, okay, so here I'm going to create a reference plane. So here, this reference plane might have to come at an angle. So I've got the beginnings in play. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to 3D, go to ground floor. I'm going to create a section. So let's go to ground floor. Okay, I'm going to move a section, this section I'm going to grab and pull and move over here and flip it. Okay, so in the background I've got this point, so let's go and say edit in place. Edit in place. I go to ground floor, and I'm going to make a center reference plane around this object. Okay, which I've established. If I go to my second floor, I've established that center line, so I'm going to go and say create reference plane. This one must move there to there. I'm going to call this center. So I'm going to use this reference plane to work around. Okay, finish. Just make sure that the section's past that. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go and say architecture. I'm going to set my reference plane to work around the center. Okay, let's go back into here. Edit in place, and I'm going to go and say reference plane. Go create, set. I'm going to say center. There should be a center. Here we go. Great, and then show. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to grab this point there and move it. Unconstrained. I want to move this point away. So I actually need to make 2 points in space where this object will travel along.